Let me know how I sound, guys. I do not know what's happening at the moment. I really wish the internet's doing a little better for me. You can hear me now. Alright, what do you have planned for the next phases? For the next phase, I do want to gather a community of people that are a little bit more focused on certain things, okay? So I will be giving you out some information now. Everything in next phase is all information based. That's a guaranteed fact because everything right now in Protocol 1, the phase 1 of Protocol, I've been holding all this information like a leash on a dog, where the dog is not able to be free just yet. And so this is where it's like, I want you guys to know more of what I know. And I think that in this world of information, a lot of people know a lot of shit, and that is also a detriment more than you realize. You see, a lot of people think we're more educated today, but in my perspective, I think we're all brainwashed more than ever before. And brainwashed from what exactly is from we're brainwashed to be unnatural. You see, society has done so many things to abuse you against your will. There's just so many things you just can't identify it yet until it's all put into words for you. And so that's where phase 2 will come in, where I will unleash everything that you guys need to know. And the phases after phase 2, that's going to be a whole nother thing, you know. Phase 2 is more of understanding and consuming the information so you can truly grasp how fucked over you are in society. And I hope me cursing is not going to ban me. Of course that's gonna happen. Should be connected again. My apologies, guys. Yeah, hopefully the cursing won't get me banned on TikTok or some bullshit, but I'm trying to be real here. You know, this is me using my real voice this time. This is a one-man show where I've done everything else myself, so hopefully you get an idea that of the scale of the next phase is gonna be, you know. While the countdown was happening, I prepared so much for the next phase, so we'll see how you guys will think about it. And look, you guys are gonna have to not only sacrifice your time, but it might come at a little bit of a cost, and that really depends how much you're willing to pay for that. No, I'm only streaming on TikTok because people seem to, because TikTok is giving me the most viewership on TikTok, and so this is like the best route I can go for at the moment. But at the meantime, I am recording all of this, and for anyone that's, let's say, is unable to get my information because of the stupid internet connection, I'll re-upload this on YouTube. It's unfortunate. I've been moving around a lot, and the location I'm at the moment does not have the best internet. But I think future streams on YouTube would be dope as well, I will admit. So to go back to phase 2, right? Phase 2 is learning a lot about mind control, a lot about nature, and a lot about psychological slavery. These key words I say on purpose because that is heavily emphasized in the next phase. This idea that we think we have free will, but do we really? Like, I want to think that we're very intelligent creatures, but at the same time, we use that intelligence on ourselves, and it sort of screwed us over. Whereas a long time ago, when we were just living in tribes, we used intelligence to hunt, you know? And when we used that intelligence to hunt, that's what made us advanced predators. And we then started to use that intelligence from hunting to manipulating each other. You know, fucking disconnected again. Testing, all right. So what I was saying is that we used this, what do you call, we used this intelligence from hunting to manipulating each other to get money out of each other, money that doesn't even exist in nature. And it's sick and twisted at the same time because, like, what are we supposed to do in nature? Like, we're all supposed to love each other at the end of the day, naturally, where you're just there for each other, where nobody's there to manipulate and try to extort something out of each other. The best, we're not really supposed to attack our own kind. That's unnatural, and yet that is the thing that's being the most promoted in our society. And you can argue it could be capitalism, you could argue about some other bullshit, but it really doesn't matter when you prioritize your life at a large mass. Like, let me describe this, right? We all used to be in a tribe of like a few hundred people, a few 500, 1,000 even. But once more people get into that, disconnected. Hello, hello. Let's see how the connection's going. All right, so what I'm trying to get at, and I know this might be tough to like even understand with this stupid internet connection, but what I'm trying to get at is that we went from like living with a few hundred people to living with society where it's just millions of people, where so many strangers just comes in and out of your life, and you don't really build anything. You don't really get anything out of it. And this craving for loyalty that we all crave, it just doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't satisfy us because we're not in this, we're born in a system that fucks us over like that. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to restart the internet router. If this keeps bugging, then I don't know. This is something I have to deal with. All right. Internet's reconnecting at the moment, so we'll see how this goes. In the meantime, I'm going to eat my mandarin while we wait. Let's go back to my hotspot. Oh, my fucking phone, man. So trash. Hopefully it'll do better, though. Oh, look at that. Let's see how it's going now. Hello. All right. Thank you, Robot Mister. Let's see. Thank you for the 7 coins, by the way. I don't know if that was... Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying to see if, why my rewards thing is not working, or... I don't know how this TikTok shit works, so you have to excuse me. It's very interesting how technology moves so damn quick, and you really have to try to catch up and learn all this stuff too. It's insane. But I want to go... I want to talk about more... Hopefully my... Right now I'm using my hotspot on my phone, which is pretty funny. But for the hotspot, of course. But I want to get back to how society abuses us. Haven't you noticed how the fact that since everything's been fast paced, it's as if they want to accelerate your body, your energy as much as possible, and it comes to a point where you put so much stress into it that you actually become, by definition, traumatized. You know, trauma by definition is applying too much force onto something. And when society is trying to really make this economy like fast paced as much as possible through every single angle and front that you could think of, it's like, what do you expect out of me? I'm just a fucking human. I'm not a robot that is supposed to be a number and a statistic that's supposed to meet some quota. Like, what is this? What type of life is this, bro? It makes no sense. And they want, and whoever this they is, you know, I will explain a lot about it in the next phase. These people want to use every single energy out of you for their own gain. And they will manipulate you to think that it's out of your own benefit, but it's never the case. It's literally never. This slavery has gone too far deep, and I think a lot of people are waking up to this fact. And so I'm just one of those people that understands just how much we've been abused, and I'm hoping that things will actually come to a change soon. You know, it's you know, everything is fast paced. Take this for example. TikTok is giving me this insane incentivization to get as many likes on this stream as much as possible. Like, whoever's giving me these likes, thank you. I got like 5.1k likes, but you don't really have to like this stream. There's really no benefit out of you from getting it. You know, you're going to give me the benefit for the sake of having this more exposed to other people, but that is coming at the expense of your energy, you know? And TikTok is incentivizing me to manipulate you into giving a lot of likes, giving a lot of shares, giving a lot of follows. Like, they're incentivizing me to actually straight up manipulate you to be a part of my cause for my own benefits, you know? It's so fucked up. Can't you see the abuse that the system wants us to do to each other? Where I'm the guy that's streaming, I'm live streaming, I'm the so-called influencer. I don't want to be that, but I'm in that category regardless of it. I'm incentivized to manipulate you guys to want to promote me further, and that gives you a lot of energy. It's coming at the expense of your energy, you know? It's quite fucked up. But here, let me see what Robot Masters is saying. To work you to your bones and then continue to ask you for more, despite the fact that they never give. Yeah. It's the social currency, the motivation to continue to keep talking. It is. No, it really is. I like to talk for the sake of talking, but I do want to make sure that the conversation is heading somewhere, that it actually teaches us a few things. Otherwise, why the fuck are we talking for? And don't get this twisted. I'm also not someone that wants to just self-improve over and over again, because that within itself is slavery. You see, the self-improvement that that most people fall themselves susceptible towards, that self-improvement is another slave device that's trying to work you to become a harder slave. You know, they'll give you these things, like promises that you'll give yourself, you know, that white picket fence that they want to give you. Look, like, check this shit out. That white picket fence, that idea that you saw and then you promised yourself that was not out of your own will. Society planted that white picket fence imagery right in front of you through all the fronts, you know, through social media, through TVs, through your peers even. Some of them might be living it, and even then that is a mirage within itself. They're all just playing a front. It's all wearing a mask. You see all of these imageries of the white picket fence, and now you subconsciously promised yourself this. Not because you actually had the creative idea to want a white picket fence family, but because society planted that image in front of you, and then you decided, yeah, I want that now. But do you really want that, or was it just a trap that they wanted you to be in? So it's like a carrot on a stick where they just make you chase like forever. It's a never-ending cycle of a chase, and you can see it's a never-ending cycle. The finish line is always extending further and further and further because the inflation keeps increasing, the cost of housing keeps increasing, the food, everything. Everybody is wanting more out of each other too. The more promises we give to ourselves, the more promise we expect out of other people. And then we just create this unrealistic expectation of fucking promises we want out of other people. This is what inflation is. At using the concept of promise, the things that we promise to ourselves have overinflated more to an unnatural level. It's insane. Robot Mister says, to keep people going, you need to give them a hope to work for, but also an other to not be as you. Oh, as you are saying, they never said it was actually achievable. Yeah, no, they want to make it look like it's achievable, and maybe a few hundred people out of a million will achieve it, and then they'll tell everyone else, hey, look, I achieved it. I was a slave like you, but now look at me. I've made it out. Now you can do it too if you put in all the hard work. But you don't ever see the millions of dead slaves that died working their ass off trying to get to that point, and they never got it. They just straight up died with the hopes and dreams buried with them. It's miserable. I'm glad that my internet's actually doing well now. It's doing much better than before. Yeah, so I say all this to say, like, maybe there is something out there for you that you can do to live. The ultimate goal in life is to live happily and naturally, just as nature is supposed to intend you to live, you know? Even like, and the way I say it does sound religious as fuck, but I'm only trying to base my life on what is supposed to be organically, what's just genuine, and that's not manipulated or adulterated by mankind whatsoever. That's like my ultimate goal. Hope you guys are enjoying this rant as we reach towards the countdown, man. It's gonna be interesting. Welcome to anyone else joining the countdown. If you guys are new, then you guys have came at an interesting point in time, man. If only people knew. If there's any new people that ever comes across, there's only 5 viewers, but any of you guys that are new, yeah, there will be some interesting things going on. And I'm excited to talk more about it after the countdown too, because now I can actually just say whatever the fuck I want. You know, I'll get to unleash everything out into the public. What was the idea behind the 5? Being an upside down 2 ? Or is it just the font choice? I'm trying to wonder where you found the number 5 at, to be frank. Odds are the font choice is probably what it was, and I have no intention with this number thing. So, the countdown? Yeah, the countdown, the number 5 is just an upside down 2, so there's nothing really crazy about it. I really like the font style of the protocol. I think it establishes some sort of professional yet esoteric theme, let's call it. Man, Robot Mister says, what has been going through your mind as you've been posting the countdown? Did you ever have moments where you thought it wasn't going to work? I like the question. That's a really good one. There were interesting moments that I thought, like, I'm digging myself in a hole where that leads to nowhere sometimes. I mean, the ultimate goal from my perspective is to garner an audience, That way, in my best benefit, okay, I'm here to tell you guys now, my best benefit is to gain some revenue, as any human does, but in exchange of providing very valuable information. And my method of doing that was to add a mysterious countdown that leads to something, and at the same time drip feeding you guys what that could be all throughout the countdown. You know, every countdown has some sort of message behind it. You just really have to think deeply within it, you know, and that was my intention. Some were giving you direct advice of certain things, and some were actually acted performances to give you an idea of like what could that be about. And as we are deeper in the realm of phase 2, maybe if you ever look back at phase 1 again of all the countdowns, you'll actually see like, oh shit, yeah, this is what the guy was talking about. Okay, it's interesting. You know, I like this idea that I got going on, you know, and the concept of time is going to be played a lot throughout all of the phases, right? This is actually a very interesting thing. Phase 1 was the countdown, which is a concept of just the days counting down towards something is happening. Phase 2 is an event of us understanding certain bits of information that's quite hidden to the public and something that is not really discussed much about. And then phase 3 is an action phase. It's an action of some kind. And I can't describe that too much yet, but there's so much things in phase 3 that has already been done that time is going to be the concept of time is going to be very interesting when that happens. Robot Mister says, ever have moments where you thought it wasn't going to work out? Oh yeah, that just popped up again for some reason. Yeah, so I really dislike the algorithm. The algorithm made me lose a lot of hope. While describing about my ambitions of the protocol, a lot of it made me worry that the algorithm is not going to be on my side, because I already know deep down that the stuff I'm showing you guys, the content, the information, the imagery, the sound effects and everything, being all put together meticulously, I know that would garner an audience of some kind, you know, but the algorithm strongly dislikes what I like to put out there. And now my connection is bugging. That's great. Hello. Internet connection just for a second there. It's just bugged out. But I was saying that the algorithm does not want me to post this stuff out. I've seen other contents of countdowns that were similar to mine with 20 times more followers and 20 times more likes and everything than me. And they have put less effort into theirs compared to me. And that made me wonder, like, what are the odds that those countdowns are planted devices? Like, what are the odds, you know? I've talked about something like this before with other people, saying that society, the algorithm, social media, whichever you want to call it, they only want you to see 2 different types of content. One is the distraction of any kind, whether if it's cooking videos, video games, whatever the case is, makeup tutorials. Those are all distractions to keep you a poisoned, distracted slave. And then another set of information that is also planted by social media and society at large is truth content. Content that tries to talk about the truth as much as possible. You know, social media has done a really good job to plant specific truth videos that aren't truthful enough. It's enough to get people to think a thing or two, but it's not actually enough for people to actually want to escape society. You know, the moment you give the idea that there's a way to escape society, they're going to suppress that as much as possible because they need slaves to run society. Society cannot run without slaves. And when somebody actually has information out there that lets you know how to run away from society, how to live without society, then they're not going to like that. That's antithetical of what the whole purpose of a society is supposed to be about, which is abusing slaves for the benefits of the slave masters. So yeah, all that content that I see, you know, all that truth content that you see that's mainstream, that is actually now considered mainstream. Sincerely think twice about the information that's being said and wonder, what is it that is social media allowing the truth content to be said? You know, even if the content is truthful to a degree, there's a reason, a specific reason that they want us to think that way. And that could be not in our benefit whatsoever. And it could be just more distractions. Who knows? Maybe the truth is just interesting truth, but literally does nothing for you. and it's just there to make you feel good to think that you know the truth of some kind. Like, who fucking knows? It's so unfortunate. So Robot Mister says, have you had other things that help inspire you with this project? And oh, these things, oh yeah, and these things aren't very popular in the eyes of the medias. Yeah, it's not. I'm gonna let it load. So hello. Sorry about that again. Let me read that question one more time. Have you had other things that help inspire you with this project? Yeah. So the countdown, I think there was a countdown, I forgot the name of it, but I think it was like 1,000 something days. And that kid, it was just a kid drawing a number on a whiteboard, showing a countdown, and I saw how popular that was getting. And all that kid did was just drew a number on a whiteboard. So I thought, okay, I can try doing that, but adding my own little twist to it, you know? And let me hide this, one of these things is just completely useless. Let me just, no, not that one. There you go. In fact, I think I'm just gonna hide all of it. I think it just looks nice looking at that screen right there. Yeah, so I got some inspiration of one of the kids drawing a number on a whiteboard and just counting down to nothing. Maybe the kid has something to reveal, but even then the kid probably just is already able to live freely with this little countdown that he made. And good for him. Good for him for getting that to happen. But I took that inspiration. I wanted to put my own twist to it. And part of it was for what Phase 2 is going to be, actually. Phase 2 is the ultimate thing in terms of information. Like, I wanted to give out information already as soon as possible, but I thought the countdown was important just to garner an audience of people that could be interested. And then after that, Phase 2 is the thing that I actually wanted to do this whole entire time. Reconnecting. There we go. Yeah. So that was the whole thing for the project of Phase 1. That was that. Now, everything else in terms of inspiration, I think a lot of it is now pretty original from my point of view. Because what I have for Phase 2 and Phase 3 is quite an original concept that I don't... Well, actually, no, Phase 2 is not an original concept, my apologies. Phase 3 is going to be an original concept that I don't think anyone has ever done before. And that Phase 3 is going to be very interesting. If you guys are not going to be satisfied with Phase 2, because it is going to be consuming a lot of information, if you're not going to be satisfied with Phase 2, Phase 3 is going to be a whole interesting other ball game. And that I can't explain too much yet. But, yeah. In terms of inspiration, let me see what other inspirations that I have. So, the background noise that you have right now, the background noise has very interesting distortion effects. It has some, like, interesting ASMR, electronic noise. I don't know how else to describe it, but I found a small community called Botanica. I guess it's called Botanica, but there's, I don't know, they don't really have a name for this yet, but at the moment the sound genre of what you're hearing is called Botanica, and I used a lot of it for, you know, the video content, you know, because the sounds are so ecstatic, you know. A lot of the other, like, distortion sounds I've created myself, and a lot of it I got from, like, sound libraries, you know, so it's a combination mix of both. But the one thing you heard of, if you've seen my YouTube videos, called Violet, or not Violet, but it's called The Thoughts, and it's voiced by a character named Violet. She talks about the things that goes inside her head and makes her think a lot, and she wanted to give that information out to the people just for them to think about a few things or two. And with that whole inspiration with the sound effects, the music, that all stemmed from Botanica, which I'm a huge fan of, you know. I love playing with sounds a lot more than you think. I haven't gone down to doing that as much just recently because I've been focused on a lot of information-based content. But at the moment, you know, I would love to, like, go back to doing more of that sound effects, making things sound very interesting, you know. Because deep down, I'm a creator at heart. I just create so much content, and although I do consume, everyone's a consumer, the best thing you can do is to convert that consumption that you've made into something you can produce with, you know? That's the whole concept of learning, right? You learn so you can build. But so many people, so many slaves will just consume nonstop. They'll learn a lot, but they'll never apply that into the real world. And that right there is... And in my way of thinking, it's like the definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over again,
people that consume a lot, they might expect something different to happen. When they start consuming a lot, they might know more information, but they just never do anything with it. So nothing changes, nothing ever happens. So it's like, what do you expect if nothing is going to come out of it if you never applied that information? Straight up. It's so insane to me to think about. There's so much concepts of insanity, you have no idea. But that was one example where the consumption is so high, and we're reconnecting. So let me give that a second. So the consumption is so high, right? The fact that it's so high, no one ever considers to actually apply that, and therefore they think they're getting something out of that information, but you never do if you don't do anything with that. That's insanity. And there's so much more things that makes slaves insane. You know, I think insanity is such a normal thing in society, but people don't see it as insanity. They think it's actually something like that is actually going to change, you know? Like, oh, my life will change if I just keep consuming all this content. Oh, my life will change if I just keep doing this. Oh, and even if they try changing something about it, they don't understand how genetics work either. They don't understand how nature works too. So they'll try. So when people understand that, okay, consuming is not going to help me with anything, so I'm going to change something with these actions. But a lot of the actions that they do for a certain specific outcome is not going to actually get them anything, because nature always wins in the end. And nature is unchangeable. You can't change nature. And if you understand that you're a part with nature, you understand that you can't really change much of yourself either. So what the fuck are we even supposed to do in this world, right? Ideally, you know, that's my all-to answer is to just live. But how do you live in a sick and twisted society that just abuses you and your senses and your instincts 24/7? They manipulate all of your senses all the time. All the addictive foods, all of the stimulating video content that you see online, they just abuse you 24/7, and we just allow that to happen. You just can't live, you know? It's so hard. You can't live naturally in society. You have to do something about that. That's the one thing you can change that will hopefully make you more natural. Oh, that's a whole nother rant. Now, that reminds me, I have a Discord now, and that will be also released on my website. So if you guys want to like have a community on a Discord server, we'll have that there. And I do already have some people in that Discord. I'm gonna make an announcement right now that I'm live streaming the final countdown. Okay, let me go ahead and I wonder if there's a link I can send. Are you able to post a link here? It may help with more engagement. Yeah, I'll see if I can put the Discord link in the chat. Give me 1 second. Alrighty. I'm going to paste the link right here. I don't know if you're able to even click on that link, but... Oh, you're meeting the website. Yeah, for sure. If that works too. Nah, that's alright. The Discord's now public, so it's for everyone to join and contribute. I like this guy's username. It's filled with bars, but thank you for following. I appreciate that. Will I get raided? I hope not. If that's the case, I can always make another Discord. You know, I'm not afraid to lose things in life, and that's also a part of how phase 2 will help you learn not to worry about things that were always never owned to you anyway. So give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, the concept of ownership is very interesting for the fact that you how do I say this? You really don't own much, even if you think you own it, you know? The fact that you can die in 2 seconds, if somebody can take your life in a few seconds, shows that you really don't have much in life anyway. People get so fixated on the things like their car that's so expensive, or some sort of trinket that they think will give them happiness, but at the end of the day, it literally is a man-made device, you know? That at some point, this thing that people are so fixated on, whatever they own, let's say they own an iPhone, for example, right? They act like they can't live without it, but there was a time and place where that iPhone never existed and they were happy anyway. But they can't imagine that, because now that the phone exists, they think that they need the phone as if it's something that's part of nature. But it's not a part of nature. It never was to begin with, you know? So, it's unfortunate, man. And like I said, although I am the owner of a Discord server, I don't really own the Discord server. You know, the Discord corporation itself actually owns the Discord. I don't own shit, you know? And so therefore, why do I have to care so much about something that can easily be taken away from me? You know, it makes no sense whatsoever. So that's another thing about that. So let me read this guy's comment. Let's see what this guy's got to say. He says, "Hello, what are you going to be speaking about?" I'm Stick, by the way. I don't know who Stick is, man. I'll see if I can use my memory for that. What's phase 2? Phase 2 is going to be an information-based phase. You're going to be seeing a lot of information. Oh, you're Stick on Discord. Let me see then. Yes. Okay, I see now. Stick, yeah, so phase 2 is going to be a lot of information that I'm going to be unleashing to the public. It's a small public because not everyone's going to know what I'm doing, but for those that do know, I'm releasing something out for people to fully digest it. And that's going to be all of phase 2. Phase 2 is just going to be the information side of things. You know, phase 3 is going to be another interesting journey, but there's no timeline or no estimated time on when that's going to happen. It really just depends on what happens in my life, and I can't describe that just yet. Welcome, Flower of Darkness. We got 4 people now just chilling and live streaming. Man, we got 45 minutes left, guys. Hopefully, if my internet... Yeah, I'm still going to do it anyway, regardless of my internet. If it crashes, it's fine. But I am planning to play the last final countdown on the live stream so we can all watch it together. If it happens to disconnect or lag, that's fine. You guys will be able to watch the whole thing. Oh, look at that. It just disconnected now. Of course it does. So, okay, we're back on. What I was trying to say is that if we're going to be disconnected, right, you'll be able to see the whole thing on my TikTok, on YouTube, on all the socials that I have posted up. So you'll be fine, guys. But this is an attempt to just have everyone together waiting for the countdown to happen. All right, Stick. I'll catch you later, man. It'll be exciting to see. You know, we'll watch it all together, man. What up, Elijah? Look at that. We got soap, shower, and bacon. I wonder if that means something. Sure, this gotta mean something. For those of the new people joining, if you guys don't know what the hell's going on, just feel free to look through my TikTok and maybe that'll give you an idea of my pinned comments or pinned videos. That would help you with something. I got 1 diamond from somebody. I wish I can see. Oh, I see. Flower Darkness sent 1 rose. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. That might help me with something. I don't know. In terms of donation, guys, you don't really have to do much. I don't think it's gonna do much in the realm of TikTok. All right, then 3 roses, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let me know if you guys have any other questions, alright? Hey, thank you, Flower Darkness. I appreciate the roses. It could help me a lot. Robot Mister says, have you done a lot of research or have been feeling your way through this? It is a combination of both, so I don't want to say too much yet, but let's say this, right? The whole project started... Let me think about this. The project started like 2 years ago, pretty much. And the countdown started about maybe 200 days after I started the project, and so within that, I was doing a lot of research. I was nonstop trying to figure out the answers to life. I think everyone wants to do that, right? But when you're a distracted slave, you might not understand, or you might not have that type of inspiration deep down. For some people, it might be genetic. I don't know. Maybe I just was born with this insatiable thirst to find something out there to understand how I'm supposed to live. Naturally, of course. Not what society thinks they want me to live. But the initial phase, the initial year, I'd say, was me doing a lot of research. I was putting a lot of stuff together. And then the second year was like, there's a catalyst at some point in my life during this 2-year lifespan that it will be exposed and shown soon in the future. But this catalyst made me rethink a lot of how I researched. And I had to like go back and sort of wipe a lot of the information and content and like sort of start from scratch again. And now it comes back like 10 times as strong now of what I had initially. So ever since I did the research part, that was one thing. But then part of my research told me that I needed to understand how life worked through my own senses. And so I had to understand the concept of listening to your body, which not a lot of people do that, just to let you know. You think that's easy to do, but nobody actually listens to their body. I shit you not, you know? If anything, I'm super hyper fixated on my own body and health that it might seem a little autistic, I'm gonna be for real, but it's what helps me understand more of like who I am as a person too. Because the body knows exactly what it needs to do naturally. The body cannot be brainwashed into thinking that it's one thing or another. It just simply knows how to live. And if you just listen to your body is the key turning factor of finding happiness in life, you know? And everybody has different bodies. So here's the crazy part about truth. The truth is actually, and I hate to say this too, because I don't want to be those types of people that say like, oh, the truth is subjective, or everyone has their own truth. But fuck, the truth is that your body knows the answers, and everybody has a different body. Their body reacts and they understand the world differently through their own genetic makeup. You know, we're all predetermined to act a certain way just based off of the DNAs of our parents, and we all have different parents. So by that definition, if you wanted to live naturally, you needed to understand through your parents' DNA. You have to understand where they came from. You know, you have to understand your origins as a whole, and your origins are different from everyone else's. So technically speaking, like, fuck, maybe everyone does have a different truth, but you can't, that's tough to like play around with, because there is an objective truth to things in life, absolutely, but there is another certain portion of life that you have to just listen to your own senses, and you have to say fuck it what everyone else thinks. You know, there are exceptions to the rule, and it's ideal to not listen to the exceptions as the thing that's the main way to live, but you could be the exception, and that means that you can't really follow what society's trying to tell you to do. Then you have to just follow what your exception is. You know, that's fucking crazy to think about. The fact that you could be an exception to the rule means that you have to listen to the exception if you are the exception to the rule. You know, when it comes to finding the truth, you might have to just understand the generalities of life. But fuck, you know, sometimes that might not be applicable. You know, it's so interesting. I don't want to say it's complicated, because that's standing at a weak angle. It's a weak mindset to say it's complicated, because it's not. But you'll understand the concept of weakness and strengths when it comes to the black and white and gray zones. So there's that. So Robot Mister says everyone doesn't have the same truth. Everyone has their own reality that they live in. That is true, you know. And the question is, the reality that they live in, was it? Now the question is, right? That is true what you said there. Now, is their reality built from the foundation of their own actual experiences, or was it built off of the brainwashing from society? And that is something people have to reevaluate in deeply. So Robot Mister says you are right. No one has the same truth. The biggest thing we have to trust is our senses. That's absolutely true. What you said there is actually true. So here's the thing. Somebody can tell me that, let me find an example that doesn't make me sound schizophrenic. Fuck it, I'm gonna sound schizophrenic. Okay, so everybody will tell you that the sun is billion and trillions of miles away, right? They'll tell you that they're trillions of miles away. But for some reason, my eyes tell me that I can stare at it when it's sun rising and sun setting, but I can't stare at it when it's above me, literally. When it's like 3 p.m., 2 p.m., like I can't stare at it because it's too bright. Now, based on my senses, right, I'm not following by any brainwashing of any kind. I'm not following what anyone's trying to tell me. I'm just listening to my senses. It's telling me that the sun is actually closer and that it's actually moving around us. That's what my eyes are telling me. I'm not saying that I believe that somebody told me that the sun is closer. My eyes is showing me that myself. And if you think I'm wrong, then you can test it out yourself. Stare at the sun during the sunset and sunrise, and stare at it during the middle of the day. And you will also realize through your senses that the sun is actually not that far away. So if that is the truth, then what the fuck have you been told your whole entire life? Like, what the fuck does any of science even means anymore? Because science tells me that the sun is so far away, but how can it be like that if the sun, I can only stare at it at a certain distance at a certain time of day? That makes zero sense. And maybe there's an answer to it that I don't know, that someone can try to justify its reasonings. Who knows? But if they try to justify it because somebody else told them the information, then I'm not going to believe that. I can only trust them if they can show me what their senses are telling them. So that's just a schizophrenic idea for you to think about, right? So if, let's say that the sun idea based on my senses is true, then that means a lot of what science is telling you is a fucking lie. And that there are so many lies out there that they tell you for a specific reason, whatever the agenda could be, whatever the ulterior motive could be. They want you to think a certain way to make you a certain slave. They want to prohibit your way of life to live naturally as much as possible. And who knows, for some reason, maybe telling you that the sun is trillions of miles away could be one variable that pushes you from being a docile slave. Who knows? That's just the idea of just brainstorming, theorizing, right? And that's just an idea of following your senses. You know, for me, I don't know what to believe in anymore. People will say that the earth is round. People say that the earth is flat. I just don't know anything anymore. I can't prove that the earth is round or flat with my own senses, because there's so many things that with my senses that can prove that the earth is round. You know, I could possibly say that the stars in the sky, they all stay the same. Like, they don't move around, but the rotation of the earth does. So that can prove that the earth is round. But then the sun theory that I just gave you, the idea of the sun, that proves the flat earth theory. So it's like, what is it? What is the truth, you know? But at the end of the day, does me ranting of all this stuff, right? Does it really matter now? Does it really matter to know if the earth is round or flat? To me personally, I don't think so. I think living naturally and enjoying what life is supposed to give you at a natural level, at its original sense, I think that's all that matters at the end of the day. So, but with me, it's like, when I give out information, I'm not going to wrap my information around the idea that the earth could be round or flat. I'm just not going to include any of that whatsoever, because I don't know the truth of that. Nobody knows the truth. People will say, well, NASA already has photos of it, but like, how much do you trust NASA? Like, how much do you trust anyone, really? There are things that I've discovered that goes against what science tells me to do. And ever since then, I have not listened to science whatsoever. I've not listened to any type of main consensus. I am against the mainstream of any kind. If people want to call me a contrarian, I'm sort of forcing myself to become one, because I just have trust issues with the mainstream. Like, what the fuck is it what's in it for them to tell me the things that they want me to know? Like, what is it? You know? I'm fucking done with that. So, here, let me read the text. Robot Mister says, well, it's complicated. Just because it's complicated doesn't mean that it has to be hard. That goes back about the complication of truth. I talk a lot about how the truth works. And you'll know in phase 2 a lot about how the truth works. The funny thing is that people try to find the truth, but people do not understand how the truth works within itself. Like, they don't understand the concept of truth. And so I talk about the concept of truth so well, so that way when you do try to find the truth, you know what the truth is. Like, you know what it's going to dress itself up to be. You can see that the truth likes to wear a mask. This is an interesting analogy. The truth likes to wear a scary costume to make you afraid of it. So you don't think, you don't want to get near it, but the truth is the truth. And you're too afraid to look at it. I don't know. It's hard to, I can explain it further, but I just want to say that a lot of the truth that you know is ridiculed with shaming tactics, and in other words, they want to delegitimize the truth in ways. There's certain words that I can put it, but it sort of spoils the things in the future, and I'll explain that later. And here's the problem too, is that if I give you one truth, people are not going to understand the truth unless if I give them 20 other truths that support that one truth. And it's like, it's an insane rabbit hole that I have to explain, because it's like I'm living in a whole different realm compared to everyone else. That might sound egotistical, but I just see it and I live it, you know? And I think a lot of people want to live in this realm of truth, but sometimes there's all these mind control devices that's holding them back. And I'm reconnecting now. Skyla says, well, been waiting for this long. That's 30 more minutes. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a time. We got 30 more minutes left. And I think around 2 to 3 minutes, I will shut the fuck up. And I'll go ahead and set things up for the final countdown, you know? And I'll let you guys know now that the countdown, it's not just one video alone that's being released, but it's going to be a plethora of a few other things. I don't want to say too much yet, and I don't want to make it too overly ambitious. You guys have to remember, this is a one-man show. One guy can only do so much in the span of 2 years, doing a 500-day countdown and doing something behind the scenes. So, you know, just keep that in mind as well. But I did put in as much work as I could to make sure that you guys get the most value out of it. So let's see here. Robot Mister says it's sort of a situation where you have to take things with a grain of salt. Yeah, that is true. Take everything with a grain of salt. Anything except your senses. Your senses should not be taken with a grain of salt. Don't let anyone let you think that your senses are wrong. Your body's trying to tell you something, and you should listen to that. You know, you're not sick in the head for thinking things, having these doubts in the back of your head, thinking like, what? I think I'm doing something wrong. I think that I'm taking myself somewhere that I don't want to be, you know? Your depression actually exists for a reason. Your suicidal thoughts exist for a reason. Don't let anyone think that you're sick in the head for having these thoughts. It doesn't mean that you should actually like, end your own, what is that thing called? Self-deletion? I'll it's reconnecting. I'm trying to censor myself a bit, all right? The negative thoughts in your head, the depression and the thoughts that makes you want self-deletion, that is you're not supposed to do that. Obviously, your body wants you to live. Your body wants to be happy, it wants to thrive, it wants to reproduce, and it wants to just live. Once your body is giving you the idea that, man, life sucks, you should end it, it actually is trying to tell you that you should try changing something about your life. And I'm sure you've heard this advice before, but the idea is that something is abusing you, something is suppressing you from happiness, and that's what depression is. Depression is just the suppression of happiness. And whether if it's genetics, whatever you want to call it, there's something that's deficient in your head that's making you not want to live. That's all there is. There's a deficiency. There's not an imbalance of any kind. There's a deficiency. And you just need to get that back from you need to just bring that back into you naturally. All right, reconnected. Just came back on. Robot Master says you hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Yep, that's absolutely true, man. That's exactly what it is. So here, give me one moment. I'm gonna get some water because, man, I'm gonna get myself some raw milk. That's a reason. There's a reason why I'm doing that. So I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. And I'm reconnecting. Okay. Alright. So Robot Mister asks, by the way, Robot Mister, you're the G for being in this chat for a while. I appreciate you a lot. What's the reason behind the raw milk? So there are so much nutrients in milk and dairy products. You know, you're made out of, at one point, the nutrients that came from the milk of your breast of your mother, the breast milk of your mother. God, I need to let it reconnect. I apologize for the disconnection, but man. So your body at one point was made up of the nutrients that came from the breast milk of your mother. That is by definition raw milk, and society also wants to make you afraid of it because there's so much nutrients in it. You have no idea. There's probably some justifiable reason that I will explain later in the future, but all I want to tell you, the reason why it's not banned yet, the reason why it's still banned, is because there's so much power behind it that they don't want you to be healthy and happy, you know? If they really wanted you sick, they would actually, look, if they really wanted you sick, they would not ban raw milk. They would hope that you get sick the same way that they hope you get sick from drinking alcohol, from drinking or smoking cigarettes. The fact that that's not banned, or at least there's some regulations to it, the fact that alcohol within itself is not even banned to begin with, it's crazy to me. They're okay with poisoning you through ethanol that's in the alcohol, but they don't want to, but they're so afraid of you getting sick from bacteria that is actually not even bad for you. They're all probiotics that's actually healthy for you. That's part of the thing that you need to know the most about nutrition, is that everything that came from nature naturally, you're supposed to eat at its rawest form.
That includes the milk as well. You're supposed to drink the milk raw, not burnt to 150 degrees Fahrenheit plus, or 120 degrees Fahrenheit, whichever the case. By the time then, it's all destroyed of nutrients. It's literally, all you're drinking is just burnt fats and sugar. You don't get any of the amino acids, none of the enzymes, none of the probiotics. The micronutrients is diminished significantly, and the macronutrients have been altered at a molecular level thermally that prohibits you from absorbing it naturally. There's a reason why people are actually having terrible times digesting regular pasteurized milk. It's not even regular, it's just burnt milk. But the pasteurized milk is because they're just drinking destroyed milk. They don't know that they're supposed to drink it pure from nature, you know? And that's, again, one of many reasons why society is abusing us. They want to sell you the milk under the condition that it's been destroyed, you know? Just think about that. You know, if you wanted to make somebody so docile, you wanted to make sure that the foods that they eat are destroyed at such a high rates that they're not going to get anything out of it. And then they're just going to be so deficient in the fucking head that they can't even think for themselves at a rational level. They can't do that. You know, you need nutrients to think rationally. This is why a lot of the people are so sick in the head. This is why you see people in the streets. You know, of course they're taking drugs that make them fucking sick in the head, like at an insane level. But you can see that people can't really think for themselves when they're nutrient deficient, you know? And that's why I'm drinking raw milk, essentially. That's behind this whole rant, why I drink raw milk. Yeah, sorry, man. I apologize, Robot Mister. The bro just says, I think the man forgot that he was using his hotspot for his stream. Yeah, my stream is shit. I'm going to go back to the other Wi-Fi real quick, and I'm going to see if the Wi-Fi is doing better there. Okay, so give me a second. Hello. Okay, let's hope that the connection doesn't fuck up or anything. So the router was resetted a while back, and I just kept using my hotspot. But it keeps reconnecting. God damn it. Fuck. That's brutal. Yeah, no, it's still having connection issues. You know, I actually think that my internet connection was better when I was on my hotspot. Like, man, this shit sucks, man. Okay. What do I go through for the internet? So I live in a nice house with a bunch of roommates, and the landlord has a shit internet. It actually has good speeds, but for some reason it likes to do lag spikes. The lag spikes are insane, bro. You have no idea. So later in the future, I'm not gonna live here for too long. I don't think it's gonna be a few more months though, but I will be on the road. Doing my interesting endeavors that I can't explain yet. You know, it's all part of phase 3 actually. But there's a lot that's happening. At least in my future, you know. You guys are just gonna be there to witness it, but I'll include you guys in it as well. You know, I can't be too selfish. But look at that, guys. It's 18 minutes until the fucking countdown ends. I also have about an hour worth of me recording too, so I'll be uploading this all again online. I think I'm gonna cut it down to just highlights, I think. Either that or I think I'm just gonna upload it all in this RAW form. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. And I think maybe in a few minutes I'll go ahead and reveal, actually, depending on energy level, yeah. No, I can do that for sure, Robot Mister. I'll go ahead and do the interesting reveal. We're already like 17 minutes in. The announcement's gonna happen soon. I'm gonna hide this logo, Protocol Leashed Phase 1, and start revealing what Phase 2 is going to be, which is Protocol Unleashed. This is the new phase where everything is going to be unleashed out to the whole public. I'm excited to see it. It's it's going to be very interesting of this new phase, and everything is a journey, by the way. As much as it's very awesome to see the destination of Phase 1, the ending of it, it's just going to continue on forward, and the best part of it is to just journey through this, you know? So this is gonna be Phase 2. I'm like, after I announce this, or what do you call it, after I show the final countdown, I'm gonna have to upload the website, show a whole new updated version, change all of my usernames on my socials to Protocol Unleashed, and continue on from then on. So this is gonna be quite a journey for all of us. And I see a few new people are joining the call. For those that are interested, I will be playing the final countdown in the call. Be warned that the internet connection is trash and it might not be solid all throughout, but God, I'm gonna cross my fingers that I hope it does. At the meantime, right? We're gonna enjoy our time here together. We're gonna watch the live stream together in unison, and I think that's pretty much it too, honestly. Welcome, Raisins. Right now I got the whole list of people that are still here. I got Robot Mister, your friendly Insomniac, yeah, relatable, Inaki, Unizuki, and Skyla. You guys have been pretty loyal all throughout. I really appreciate you guys. Loyalty is so important, and yet we get very little of that nowadays, you know? It's so unfortunate. You know, a lot of people today, they just don't have their own like small little clique of people to like just be around with all like every day that they can love and appreciate, you know? It's crazy. Yeah, it's very hard to trust people these days. Robot Mister said it best. So trust is a lot harder to earn nowadays because you don't really know people's intentions now that we've been brought up and raised to manipulate each other more than ever before. You know, it was very interesting to know that the schools will try to influence you to learn how to become a capitalist by, and I'm not against capitalism, by the way, this is just the byproduct of capitalism, that once you're a capitalist, your ultimate goal is to make money. And to make money, it's not even making money because you don't have a printer to to print the money. You're taking money from other people, and therefore you have to learn methods to manipulate each other to take shit from other people. And so what kind of chance do we have as a society to trust each other fully, to know that you're not trying to rob something out of me, that you're not trying to pickpocket me or just to extort something out of me? It's completely bullshit. You have no chance in this society to trust someone if their whole entire purpose is to make money out of you. You know, and here's my thing. Something in phase 2 is going to cost some sort of amount of dollars. I'm not trying to just rob people of things. I'm trying to, first of all, I'm trying to make money for self-independence, of course. But in return, I want to let you guys know how exactly this world works, how society works, how your slavery is happening right now in real time, and how there's so many devices holding you to become a slave. Up until the day you die. You don't know this, but maybe you do know it. There's so many stories that you probably heard of people dying, never being able to retire, to being able to live autonomously, free to do whatever they want. They never get to have that. They literally work up until they get out of high school. Some were slave-minded enough to go to college. And then by the time they finished college, for all we know, they were having a party celebrating their college, the college graduation. And then they fell off a balcony because they were too drunk. And then they just died slaving their whole way through. Like, you just never know. And you just died a slave. You were never free your whole entire life, and you never get to enjoy what freedom and the true ugly freedom that I'm going to be talking about in the future, and what that means. You never get to experience that. It's fucking crazy to me how that is. Welcome, Wendigo. This is the final day of the countdown. I'm glad that you're here to join it. We're going to be watching the final countdown real soon. And so, yeah, to go back to how we can't trust people, it's like you can't trust someone when everyone's goal is to try to make money out of each other, you know? And even I am someone that's susceptible of this. You guys can put whatever trust you want into me. I'm not telling you to trust me. I'm not telling you to mistrust me. You follow your senses to what you think is correct. And you go ahead and see, is it worth financially supporting this guy? Is he really going to aid me into living more naturally, to finding the actual cure for happiness, to actually finding the cure for cancer, you know? Like, it's that type of shit you have to put your judgment on. And I'm willing to put myself through the test for that, you know? Trust is not just earned easily. Yeah, you're going to have to, it's going to have to be spent with a lot of time, you know? You have to be around me for quite a while to see if I'm worthy to be trusted. And I get that. And at the same time, I'm telling you guys right now, financially, you will have to invest something into me for a part of the phase 2. It's not going to be cheap either. So, and this is the conflict of interest. You guys have to put your trust into me, and if you don't trust me, then that's it. That's the end of the relationship. But if you do trust me, well, okay, here's that. I have to not compromise myself to just give away something that's so valuable that people are gonna just take it for granted. I can't just do that. I want to make sure that you feel a little burn in your wallets to make sure you understand that this is real business, this is real shit, and this is gonna further ingrain the information in your head. You know, the information is gonna be unleashed, but that doesn't mean that you will be able to absorb that information the way that I want you to. You know, Patreon, yeah, I might do a Patreon, who knows? That's gonna be later down in the future, but for now I got something else in planned and something in mind. But the thing I'm trying to get at is that you're people that are gonna get this information that I'm unleashing, they're not gonna take that shit to heart. They're not gonna take it to heart whatsoever. They're gonna take it for granted, and they're gonna disregard it, and they're gonna continue being the slave that they are. The hell's this? So hold on one second. The fucking TikTok studio is gonna end my live stream for a second there. Okay. So that's my whole rant about you guys have to trust me, right? And if you can't trust me, then that's the end of it. And at the same time, I have to put up a barrier to make sure not anyone is just gonna have this information. Like, that's the best way I can put it. So I don't feel like I'm gonna be smart enough to understand phase 2. Who knows? I can't guarantee anything in life. That's a guaranteed fact. I'm someone that talks a lot. That's one thing. I've been through this yapping phase before. I don't know. It is considered yapping at the end of the day, but it comes with an intent purpose. But I think the way I structure things, I'm going to word things very clearly to make sure you understand it. And it's not going to be done in one go. You're most likely going to have to go back and relearn a few things. And at the same time, I'm going to make sure it's not dreadful to listen to or to absorb the information of anything, you know? I'm going to make sure that you can get as much out of it as possible so it's all ingrained and for you to remember for the rest of your life forever. So that's that, man. Fucking 8 minutes left, guys. This is crazy. So now we got 10 viewers. I'm guessing some people understood that the countdown was going to happen at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I posted that on my TikTok thing, but it's almost there, guys. 8 minutes left. I want you to guys remember this. If there's something I'm going to hint that's going to show up in the next 8 minutes, think about rhythm-based mind control and what does that come from? Where does that come from? There's a rhythm that, let me rephrase it. There's a certain mind control that's based on rhythmic frequency waves. That will be interesting. And the way I said it too sounds so crazy. Like it's as if it's out of this realm, this concept, rhythm-based mind control. In reality, it's actually something you've heard of all the time. You just haven't realized it yet. You haven't seen someone actually point out the obvious. And after you've noticed it, you're like, oh shit. I can't unsee it now. It's like that stupid phrase, like once you're black, you can't go back. Whatever that means. But once you know, you can't unknow it, you know? So let's see here. How far have you looked into the hypnosis forms? I don't know what you mean by the forms. If you're talking about the types of hypnosis, I've looked at a good amount. Like, I've learned the basics of what it's known scientifically, and then I applied that to every single realm of life that puts us under hypnosis, you know? And hypnosis is not the stereotypical thing where you dangle a pocket watch over their face, or that you put a swirl, what do you call it? An illusion of a swirl, like my logo. It's not this swirl that's going to put you under hypnosis. That's never the case. It's something much crazier that requires a lot of colors, a lot of poppy music and sound, and happy tones and notes, and words that reaffirm positive meaning to certain things that will push you to a certain direction. It's just a combination of all those things, you know? Binaural beats, I don't know what you mean by that. Finn the Mystic. Robot Mister, I can fully tell, and yeah, it can get very complicated. The swirl are spirals. Yeah, the spirals is just like a very simplistic idea of hypnosis. That's like, if you want to think of it, the swirl is like the logo, the brand of like mind control and hypnosis. And that's the key thing of my whole protocol, is understanding all of that to its fundamental level. And you have to understand, what does that even mean? Like, oh my God, this is crazy. You have to understand there's a moment in time where we weren't under hypnosis or mind control, meaning that there was something before that we were able to live naturally. And once you're able to understand who we were naturally, it's so easy to dissect all of the things that's trying to mind control you, you know? Okay, binaural beats. I'm not too familiar with binaural beats, but to a degree I do. But rhythm-based mind control is more of understanding how music itself can control you. You know, the same way how, because now that we're getting to phase 2, I'm about to just start spewing this shit out. Rhythm-based mind control is the idea that under the condition that you hear your favorite frequency waves, which could be a guitar, it could be a piano, it could be anything. Once that's playing at a certain rhythmic pattern, you have no control to follow the beat with your head bobbing, with your heartbeat synchronizing with the beat of the music, whatever the case is. Your body is now aligned with the frequency wave of the rhythm. And that rhythm was controlled by whoever created that sound. You know, it wasn't you that controlled that rhythm, it was somebody else. And now that rhythm has attached meaning to it. When people put lyrics right next to it, now there's something that makes you want to attach meaning to the rhythm that you're listening to. And next thing you know, you're under the mind control where, like, for example, rappers that talk about fuck bitches get money, all the African American people that listen to rap music are now under the influence of trying to fuck bitches and get money, because that's how mind control works in that aspect. Okay, that's rhythm-based mind control, and that goes over so many other things, dude. So many other things that I'm happy to explore this realm with you guys in phase 2. And now that it's coming to a wrap, guys, look, Sparrow gave me an app. Nice to meet you, Sparrow. Look, it's coming to an end. We got 3 minutes left. You'll see what's gonna happen at the end. I'm gonna shut up now, and I'm gonna get things prepared for the countdown. I think this is the moment where it's like we just enjoy what this place, I don't know. I think I'm just yapping at this point. I'm gonna just shut up now. I'll let things continue, and then you'll see the countdown final video. And let's have that there. And also, I guess if you guys wanted to know, all that B-roll footage, the background footage, that was all me. I happen to like to travel a lot and take footage of nature and certain activities. Maybe it gets you an idea of who I am as a person. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and just shush.